Okay. Welcome to Raw Dogs Radio. I'm your host, Masante Bay, and I have a headache because there has been a lot of talk. Oh, just let y'all know there I am. I'm doing my YouTube thingy here. There's been a lot of talk about Hugh Jackson and Baker Mayfield, and people tend to forget that Hugh Jackson left this team with a 3-36-1 record when he was fired. Now, truth be told, he should have been fired last year. And it's not because of the talent, because as people say, this team was bereft of talent, but that is not true. That is not true. There's a lot of talent on this team that was on this team before the start of this season. And as I went through it, I went by through everybody that was drafted or picked up as a free agent on this team or traded for that's on this team before Hugh Jackson. I'm sorry, while Hugh Jackson was here, and this is before the start of this season. So here's what you got. All right. Uh, you got Agba, Schobert, Kindred, Garrett, Peppers, Njoku, Ogunjobi, Brantley, DeValve, and Higgins. Okay. Not to mention Burgess, Coley, Collins, Brian Body Calhoun, Colquitt, all were here because of Sashi Brown. All right. So that's within 2 years. 2 years. Because remember, Sashi was tied to Hugh Jackson. Sashi became team president. He hired Hugh Jackson. He brought in those players. These players are still on the team. Not to mention the fact that you had Joe Thomas and oh my goodness, what was the left guard's name? Whose name escapes me right now. But you know who I'm talking about. You had these guys on the team already. Not to mention, you also had a running back. You had Duke Johnson. You also had they wound up getting rid of Terrence West, but you also had goodness gracious, why are these names escaping me right now? The one that wound up going to the Jets. Damn, what is going on with me? At any rate, you had players, you had talent on this team. So it'll come Isaiah Crowell. That's what I'm talking about. So you had talent on this team. Now, everybody knows that when you start a young team, a fresh young team, okay, you do not start that team off, especially if you say that you're bereft of talent. You do not start them off with a wide open offense like you have 6 year veterans who know your system. Everybody knows that. You start with a power running game and you try to play good, strong, solid defense. And if you can't play good, strong, solid defense, then what you do is you still use your power running game and you try to get out of there. Now, Hugh Jackson knew that the team was going to be stripped of talent. I don't care what he says. It's not like Sashi Brown didn't talk to him. So the team, of course, was stripped of high-priced, overpriced veteran free agents that was on the team just to collect a check. They started over. Sashi Brown said it was going to be a 5 year plan, which means you strip it down to the studs. Okay, you saving money and you pick up cap. You saving cap space and you pick up draft picks. And of course, you quote unquote tank your first year because you're not going to be good. They were lucky to win one game. They won the Chargers game, although they had chances to win other games, but they just didn't. So they went 1-15, and that netted you Myles Garrett overall. So you had a building block there. You had a building block there. You already had picked up Emmanuel Ogbah the year before. So you had bookend pass rushers. The problem is that you had nothing behind them. Your secondary was bereft of talent. Of course, you traded for Taylor, Jamar Taylor, coming out of Miami, but he was just a stopgap. As you see, he's not even on the team this year. He wasn't even good enough to beat out the third string cornerback. But he looked decent for the Browns at any rate in those past 2 years. So at any rate, that just goes to show you how bad the secondary was, which we all knew that. That's why Peppers was playing 25 yards off the ball because those guys were easy to get beat. So Greg Williams figured, hey, I will force you to matriculate the ball down the field instead of just one hitter quitters on us and getting deep throws. Like I'll put a fielder back there so that way that doesn't happen. So as we said, they went 1-15. The next year, of course, as we know, they went 0-16 when they should have won at least 4 games, particularly the Miami game where the field goal kicker missed 4 kicks. There were games that should have been won. You started DeShone Kizer, okay? DeShone Kizer was way too raw. So why are you running a wide open offense with him? See, this all goes back to coaching. And also do understand that every game under Hugh Jackson, the Browns averaged at least 10 penalties a game. So what does that tell you about coaching? It tells you that this team was sloppy. This team was also ill prepared. They were disorganized. They were just out there to be out there. A whole bunch of young, raw talent and talentless players out there just doing whatever because they weren't being coached properly. In every press conference, Hugh Jackson would come out there and throw somebody under the bus. It was always somebody's fault. It was never his fault. I mean, of course, he would say, got to play better, got to coach better, got to teach better, and all this stuff. But it all came down to coaching. They were undisciplined. And last year, I want people to understand something. When the Browns went 1-15, in the offseason and throughout the rest of the 2017 year, what was the hot rumor that was going around about Hugh Jackson? That he would eventually replace Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati if he got fired in Cleveland. And everyone was expecting him to get fired last year, but he didn't. So what happened? Marvin Lewis signed a 2-year extension instead of going ahead and moving on. You know why? Because he was waiting on Hugh Jackson. It's not a coincidence that shortly after he got fired, the next week he went on a whole media tour. And then at the end of his media tour through ESPN's sorry network, here he is, Dwight Schrute, on the Bengals sidelines. He doesn't even have a real official title. They made up a title for him. And as Stephen A. Smith and the other blowhards, Damian Woody and Shannon Sharp, you guys need shut your damn mouth. Y'all act like Hugh Jackson was starving. He's owed $8 million by the Browns. $4 million this year for the rest of the year, and then $4 million next year because he had a 4-year contract. The Bengals only paying him $250,000. And you sit here and say, well, he want the coach. Shut the fuck. Shut up. Please shut up. He was not that hungry and thirsty to be back coaching again. Please show me in the history of the NFL a head coach that got fired, and then a week later he was on somebody else's sideline coaching. And Hugh Jackson's not even coaching. He's just standing there with a headset on, looking like a freaking goofball clown. What is his job? Assistant to the head coach. You might as well say the guy who fetches my coffee. That's what he was so desperate to get back to stand there and be the punchline of every joke. Yeah, nobody's talking about that. But you want to know why Baker Mayfield called him fake? Look at him. Hey, pundits, as y'all sat there for the past, what? Let's say since Hugh Jackson got to Cleveland, 1-15, 0-16. After every game, you made a freaking joke out of Hugh Jackson and the Browns. You couldn't help but to laugh at them. It was what y'all were paid to do. You just kept running your mouth again and again and again and again and again. But the second after he do his little car wash media tour, now y'all kissing his backside. Oh, you're so wrong. Because he sat up there and he did what he does. He talks big. He kisses tail. He deflects blame. And he makes you think that, oh, well, maybe it's not you. He causes doubt, but he didn't cause doubt in the hearts and minds of Cleveland fans. Nobody said after 0-16 and 1-15, well, maybe we should keep him. After 1-15, we understood because the team didn't have any talent and said, well, okay, he had a rough year. Hell, Jimmy Johnson went 1-15. Bill Walsh went 2-14. So we get it. We get it. And to be honest, this team is, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to back it up because I've got like 7 minutes. This team, through Sashi's plan, is following the model of the San Francisco 49ers back in 1979. The only difference is the quarterbacks you drafted in 79 and 8, well, that you drafted this year didn't pan out. Hold on a second. No, garbage. Sorry. They didn't pan out. And of course they didn't pan out because they were bad quarterbacks. And also, they also had a bad head coach in Hugh Jackson. He doesn't know how to, as much as people want to say he's the quarterback whisperer, then why is Cody Kessler down in Jacksonville? Why is Deshaun Kaiser in Green Bay? Psychologically damaged. Hugh Jackson yanked him in and out of the lineup, trying to get him to run an offense that was too much for him. Rookie quarterback, supposed to have a power running game, supposed to throw when you need to, play action passes. We know this. The only game Hugh Jackson did that in was the Minnesota game when they were over in London. He tried it a bit against Jacksonville, but then he panicked in the second half and just started winging the ball all over the place. And therefore, they got beat because they couldn't sustain drives. Isaiah Crowell had been running all over people because the Browns' offensive line knows how to block, and Isaiah Crowell is a damn good back. You see what he's doing up in New York. He had a 200-yard rushing game not too long ago. He's on pace for 1,000 yards this year. He was on pace for 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons with the Browns, except you stopped giving him the ball after halftime. Shoestring tackles was keeping him from breaking it for long touchdowns. But you want to stop giving him the ball at the start of the third quarter? But somehow I'm supposed to believe that Hugh Jackson is a good coach at 336-1 and fighting and feuding in the media with his offensive coordinator and his general manager, Sashi Brown, and throwing players up under the bus, left and right. I mean, if a lot of people are saying, hey, you're throwing people up under the bus, of course you're throwing people up under the bus. Hugh, you're not doing anybody favors. And he was fake and phony. And we sat there and watched Hard Knocks and was watching him curse and scream and yell and whatnot. We were looking like, well, I know I was looking like, where is this Hugh Jackson coming from? I've never known this Hugh Jackson. And if you sat there and watched the players, they were sitting there like, who was this guy? But from what we understand, the minute that the cameras packed up and left, and then suddenly he became all weak and mediocre and whatnot and timid. And like they were saying on one of the sports talk shows with Iron Eagle, he was like, yeah, we asked Hugh Jackson, so how come you guys aren't incorporating some of the offense that Baker Mayfield ran in college? He was like, I agree. We should be doing that. You're the head coach, you moron. As you sat there and tried to tell Todd Haley in the cameras, I'm the head coach. Until you're sitting in this chair, you've never sat in this chair. Excuse me. That's why Todd Haley looked at Greg Williams like, who he think he's talking to? Todd Haley was in that chair before, as was Greg Williams. Maybe not for the Browns, but for the Chiefs and Bills, respectively. They have been head coaches before. But you trying to talk down the head Todd Haley and trying to swing your penis around, trying to pull rank, and the only thing it did was make you look more egotistical and stupid than before because you didn't incorporate anything. You didn't even try to protect Baker Mayfield. You just let Todd Haley do whatever. and then turned around and talked about how I don't know what Todd Haley was doing. I thought you was the head coach. I thought you had the final word. So yeah, you were fake and phony and sorry and a liar and a hypocrite. So when Baker Mayfield gets up there on the podium and be like, hey, he was talking all that stuff to us, and now he over there. Oh, well, it is what it is. And Baker Mayfield understands the nature of the damn business. Why y'all sitting up here talking about some, well, he went from one college to the other. Excuse me. The other school yanked his scholarship. So he was like, wait a minute, I'm the starting quarterback here. I'm a walk-on. I became the starting quarterback. I'm your starting quarterback, and you can't give me a scholarship? To hell with you. I'll go somewhere where they will give me a scholarship. And he was a walk-on there. And he got the scholarship at Oklahoma. So what are you bitching about? Trust me, he understands the nature of the business. But it's not like Baker Mayfield was getting paid to play college football. It's not like when he walked away from the one school that they had to cash him out. Well, here's the remainder of your scholarship money. No, that's not what happened. That's y'all comparing apples to oranges. Get the out of here. So when he got on Damian Woody's Instagram, like, hey, the guy was phony. How can you sit up there and say that he's not phony? What? Because he smiled in your goddamn face in the ESPN studios? What? Y'all think y'all buddies? Excuse me, 336-1. Fired from the Raiders after an 8-8 season because he tried to pull power plays. The same power plays he tried to pull in Cleveland. It wasn't going to work. And look at the team now. You mean to tell me that the team would have been better off if they'd kept Hugh Jackson? Hell no, and y'all know that. So why are you defending him? And for you idiots who keep trying to make this about race, let me tell y'all something. I understand why y'all trying to make it about race. Because Stephen A. Smith tried to make it about race. Well, a black coach, if he had this record, he'll never get a head coach job again. Man, shut the hell up. Mike Singletary practically ruined the 49ers. He's still coaching the league. Is he not? Okay, then. And besides, if Rob Marinelli, who also has an 0-16 on his resume, as far as I'm concerned, he shouldn't be coaching in the league anymore either. But he's still a defensive line coach. He went back to it, although that was Matt Millen's fault for hiring that freaking idiot. Hugh Jackson has a good gift of gab, but if you're an intelligent person, Stephen A. Smith, Damian Woody, Shannon Sharp, you can see right through him and realize, oh man, this dude full of shit. Just like everybody else in that Browns locker room knew that Hugh Jackson was full of shit. That's why he's not there anymore. That's why Demarius Randall was getting interceptions and throwing them in his face. Here you go, coach. Please. You're not in that building every day to be making that decision. And if you were, and you thought, and if you like having smoke blown up your ass, thinking that is more important than good coaching and wins, then that's on you. Hell, go play in New York. There's some sorry teams up there. You can go be up there with Pat Shermer's goofball dumbass. I laugh when they hired, like, really, y'all hired him to be your head coach? Oh my God, the Giants are going to be trashed with all that talent. At any rate, no, so Baker Mayfield is correct in his assessment, as are the other Browns players. That's why Freddie Kitchens came out and backed him up. That's why John Dorsey didn't tongue lash him. Nobody went after Baker and said, Baker Mayfield, you're wrong for saying what you're saying. Nobody said that is connected to anybody in Cleveland, because we all know Hugh Jackson's firing, it happened right on time. Unfortunately, it cost us some games for the season, but you know what it's done is giving Greg Williams, okay, and Freddie Kitchens a shot to prove themselves. And I don't care what anybody says; these guys are playing strong, hard, competitive, disciplined football. And everybody's sitting up here talking, we need an offensive head coach. We need all this innovation. Excuse me, what the fuck do you think Freddie Kitchens is doing? Sure, he had a couple of bad plays with the reverse pass and the reverse against the Bengals. Okay, what was the other one? It was a play against Kansas City that was a bad play too. I can't remember what it was. They stood out, but you take away those three plays out of the three straight games. You take those plays away, and what do you have? You have a team that's scoring touchdowns. That's what you have. You have a damn good football team. That's power running game. Your freaking running back, Nick Chubb, who started in the middle of the season, you had to trade away Carlos Hyde in order for Nick Chubb to get the ball, is almost leading the league in rushing. Your quarterback has the one of the top, he's the top five quarterback, has the top five quarterback rating this year within 3 games. And one of those games was a bad loss to Kansas City. He hasn't been touched in two. What are you talking about? What coaching search? I'm sorry. What is that asshole's name out in New England that they keep talking about? The one that has zero credibility whatsoever. That I wouldn't even have him. I wouldn't have him melt me a stick of butter. He has zero credibility and zero football acumen. But because he's up under Tom Brady, who did just fine without him, we're supposed to think that Josh McDaniels is the hot coaching candidate. Excuse me. After what he did to Indianapolis, he should be off of every owner's radar as far as talking about some hiring him as a head coach. I mean, it's bad enough he drafted Tim Tebow and turned Denver. He set Denver's franchise back almost 10 years. Screwed over all those assistant coaches in Indianapolis. Handshake deal. You lost the Super Bowl. You ready? Yeah. Let me turn the car around. Nope. Never mind. But you think that's a good head coach for any team, especially the Browns? He's just as fucking fake and phony as Hugh Jackson. He's a fucking scumbag. He doesn't even have his own identity. He ran around here trying to be Bill Belichick. Fuck it. What? That's what you want on this side? Get the hell out of here. And people are saying, well, Freddie Kitchens will probably leave next year. If he stays on as the offensive coordinator, he'll probably leave to get a head coaching job. Well, you know what that tells me? That tells me that you have a damn good fucking offensive coordinator who actually backs your quarterback. They actually get along. Your quarterback and head coach get along because your quarterback is going to eventually have the same personality as your head coach when he turns 60 because they're of the same mindset. It's just that Greg Williams is just a 2 generations older than him. So he's wiser than him, but they talk just the same way, as does Freddie Kitchens, who's a generation older than Baker Mayfield. This is a perfect fit. This is a match made in heaven. The defense hasn't even suffered with Greg Williams' son calling the defensive shots. So what the fuck are y'all talking about? What is there to debate about? If they lose to the Texans, then they just lose to the Texans. They're a better team. But I bet you they probably won't lose to anybody else. And I bet you this game against the Texans is going to be a tight one if they do lose. This is a battle of young upstarts versus other young upstarts who just got a little bit more seasoning on the defensive side of the ball and a little bit more talent at wide receiver. But we're going to see what's popping come Sunday. And if they win, I want all of this coaching stuff to go away. But it don't matter. I really get the feeling that they're going to finish strong. They're going to just miss the playoffs. And really, the whole coaching search is going to be a facade. Because if you hire anybody else, especially a Josh, man, please, you're screwing it up. You're ruining. You're breaking what's already fixed. You're going to break what's fixed because you don't know who can do what. You really don't know. So let's let the season play out and we go from there. But defending Hugh Jackson, you're brain deadness. That's all I can say. All right, let me get out of here. I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.